Hi everyone and welcome. Today I want to dive into how to prepare for the ISACA's AAISM exam, Advanced in AI Security Management. Now, this is not your typical multiple choice question. It is designed for professionals who already have a CISM or CISSP and are stepping into AI governance and security. Why is this exam important? Because AI is no longer a side project. It's being built into healthcare, banking, government, and education. So with that comes new risks, new compliance requirements, and the need for leaders who can manage AI responsibly. We'll begin with an introduction to AAISM and its importance. We'll look at why the certification is becoming a key differentiator for professionals working in the AI assurance and governance space, and how it aligns with today's enterprise AI initiatives. Next, we will review the session structure and key focus areas. Now, this will give you clarity on what each part of the exam covers and how to balance your preparation across them. Then we'll cover the exam format and domain weightage. So I'll break down how ISACA has structured the exam, the number of questions, and how much emphasis for each domain. Now, after that, we will deep dive into the three core domains of AAISM, starting with domain one, AI governance and program management. So here we'll discuss about the frameworks, policies, roles that defines responsible AI operations. Then we'll go on to domain two, AI risk management, where we'll explore identifying, assessing, and mitigating AI-related risks. And domain three, AI technologies and control. Now, here we'll touch upon technical safeguards, model securities, and monitoring mechanisms to ensure trusted AI deployment. Once we cover those domains, then I'll share some study strategies for AAISM success, practical insights, tips, resources that you can actually use to structure your study plan and retain key concepts effectively. And finally, I'm going to wrap up with a summary of key takeaways, ensuring you leave today with clear roadmap for your AAISM preparation journey. So by end of the session, you'll not only understand what AAISM covers, but also how to approach it strategically and confidently. Now, I want to tell you that when I'm giving you this advice, I have already completed my AAISM certification. I completed it a week ago, and I've just got a confirmation that I can go ahead and submit my certification request, and I've completed it. I will show you that screenshot now. I passed my exam on September 23rd. I got 571, which I consider is still a good mark. Let's start with introduction to AAISM and its importance. First, let's look at the target audience. Now, the AAISM exam is designed specifically for experienced professionals. As I've told you, they should already hold credentials like CISM or CISSP, and now they're moving towards AI governance or AI security roles. So if you're already managing information security programs, risk frameworks, or compliance structures, and you want to expand into AI domain, this exam is a natural next step. It helps you to bridge the gap between the traditional cybersecurity and the emerging field of AI assurance. Then let's look at the exam nature. Unlike conventional multiple choice tests, the AISM goes beyond theoretical knowledge. It focuses on real world application. You will be tested on scenarios involving AI systems, governance decision, and risk evaluation assurance process. Now, the goal is to ensure that the certified professionals can practically manage AI related risk, not just memorize definition. Finally, let's touch on the importance of AI security in today's world. AI has become deeply integrated into sectors like healthcare, banking, government, and education. But with that integration comes new risk and complex risks. So AI introduces challenges like bias, data privacy concerns, accountability issues, and system transparencies. Managing these requires both security expertise and ethical oversight. That's exactly where AAISM certified professionals come in. ensuring that organizations deploy AI responsibly, securely, and in alignment with regulatory and governance standards. So in short, AAISM equips you with strategic, technical, and governance knowledge needed to manage and secure AI systems responsibly. Now, in the next session, structure and key focus area, let's understand what am I going to share with you over the next few minutes. So I'm going to talk about the exam structure, and I will talk about the syllabus. I will go down each of those three domains and discuss what will be covered in those domains. And I'll talk about any realistic scenarios that I could possibly incorporate into those domains. And finally, I'll give you some study strategies that has helped me and that could also help you. So by end, you will be having a solid plan to approach the AISM exam confidently. Let's talk about the exam format and the domain weightage across the three domains. Now that we understood the purpose and importance of the AAISM, let's take a closer look at how the exam is structured and how the domains are distributed. The AAISM exam contains roughly 90 questions. Now, some of them are scenario based, some of them were pretty straightforward multiple choice questions for me. And my personal opinion is that they are not as difficult as other professional exams like CISSP or CISM. There are three domains, and each of its domains has its own weightage. So that indicates how much focus it receives in the exam. Let's start with domain one, governance and program management. Now, this domain makes up 31% of the exam and focuses on establishing AI governance frameworks, defining roles and responsibilities, implementing effective program management practice. Now, you will be tested on areas like policy design, AI governance model, accountability mechanisms, alignment, organizational goals, among other things. Your domain two is AI risk management. It is also 31% in the exam. So here the focus shifts towards identifying, assessing, and mitigating AI-specific risks such as bias, model drift, data privacy concern, lack of transparency, among other things. Now, you will be expected to understand how to evaluate an AI system for both operational and ethical risk and apply appropriate mitigation strategies. Finally, we move on to domain 3, AI technologies and controls, which is the largest domain comprising of about like 38% of the total exam. This section dives into the technical side of AI assurance, including AI system architecture, your control mechanism, security measure, performance monitoring, among other things. Now, personally, I spent more time on domain 3, all right, and very little time on domain 1. Now, this could also mean because my past experiences with CISSP or the AI certifications that I have done has helped me when running through domain 1, but I had to spend a little bit more time on domain 3. The key component that truly differentiates a successful AAISM candidate is a blend of strategic thinking and practical knowledge. First, let's take a look at the need of strategic thinking. When we talk about AI governance or assurance, we are not just focusing on technology, we are focusing on how technology aligns with organizational vision and long-term strategy. Strategic thinking helps you to see the bigger picture, how AI initiatives tie into business objectives, compliance framework, and stakeholders' expectation. It is about anticipating challenges, identifying opportunities, and ensuring that every AI decision supports the organization's mission and ethical values. Let's consider the importance of practical knowledge. While strategic gives you direction, practical knowledge gives you the ability to execute effectively. You need to understand real-world AI systems, security controls, and governance model, not just in theory, but in action. Now, that includes knowing how to implement controls, manage incidents, assess AI risk, and measure performance. Without this hands-on understanding, even the best strategies can fail at an implementation stage. So to succeed in AAISM exam, and more importantly in your role as an AI assurance professional, you must balance both strategic foresight and practical execution. This dual skill set ensures that you are not only planning responsibly, but also delivering results that reinforces trust, transparency, and accountability in AI systems. Let's look at domain one, AI governance and program management, in a little detail on what is being covered in this domain. Let's move into one of the most important areas of AAISM framework, the core concept that defines successful AI assurance program: leadership, accountability, and governance. We'll start with leadership in AI adoption. Effective leaders is the foundation of responsible AI implementation. It's not just about approving project, it's about guiding teams with a clear ethical and strategic vision. Leaders must ensure that AI initiatives align with organizational values, meet regulatory expectations, and promote fairness, transparency, and explainability. Think of it as setting the tone from the top. When leadership demonstrates a commitment to responsible AI, the entire organization follows. For an example, a CIO or a CISO leading an AI rollout should champion both innovation and compliance, balancing business growth with data protection and ethical use of AI. Next, we have accountability in AI use. Accountability defines who is responsible for what when it comes to AI system. It ensures that all stakeholders, from developers to data scientists to decision makers, clearly understand their roles, responsibilities, and approval process. Without accountability, it becomes difficult to trace errors, biases, or misuse in AI models. A good example is an AI model used in financial services. There must be clear ownership of data validation, algorithmic transparency, and decision review process. This accountability creates trust and prevents both technical and ethical lapses. Finally, we have governance structure. Governance provides the framework that ties everything together: leadership, vision, accountability roles, and operational execution. Strong AI governance structure helps prevent risks by setting clear policies, oversight mechanisms, and compliance check. It includes establishing committees, defining review process, and aligning with global standards like ISO, NIST, and ISACA's AI frameworks. When done right, governance transforms AI from a potential risk into a well-managed, transparent, and auditable asset. So together, leadership, accountability, and governance form the core pillars of responsible AI assurance. They ensure that AI systems are not just intelligent, but also ethical, secure, and trusted. Now that we have discussed leadership and governance, let's explore policies, procedures, and lifecycle management aspects that bring structure and consistency to AI assurance. Let's begin with ethical policies and procedure. Every organization using AI must have clear policies that define what ethical AI use looks like within their context. These policies outline acceptable practices, data usage boundaries, and compliance obligation, ensuring that AI systems are designed and operated responsibly and transparently. For example, an ethical AI policy may specify how training data should be collected, how bias should be tested, and how results must be documented for accountability. Without these foundational policies, organizations risk violating privacy laws, misusing data, or deploying biased models that could harm end users. So these procedures ensure every stage of AI development aligns with ethical and regulatory expectation. Let's talk about lifecycle management. AI systems are not one-time implementation. They evolve continuously. Lifecycle management involves tracking an AI model from its creation all the way to retirement. Now, this includes regular updates, performance tuning, retraining with new data, and eventually decommissioning outdated models. The goal is to ensure models remain accurate, compliant, and free from degradation over time. For an example, if a credit scoring AI model starts to show bias after retraining with a new data, the lifecycle management ensures there's a process to detect and correct issues before it starts impacting customers. So this process ensures sustainability and reliability throughout the AI system's lifespan. And finally, business continuity planning. Even with strong governance and lifecycle management, AI systems can fail, whether from cyber attacks, data corruption, or even algorithmic malfunction. That's why continuity planning is essential. It ensures that in case of an AI outage or incident, the organization can quickly recover and maintain operations with minimal disruptions. This might involve having backup models, manual decision workflows, or redundant systems that step in during downtime. The key idea is resilience, ensuring your organization can continue functioning even when AI systems encounter failure. In summary, ethical policies guide responsible behavior, lifecycle management ensures ongoing reliability, and continuity planning provides resilience. Together, they create a robust foundation to secure, sustainable, and trustworthy AI governance. Now, let's bring everything we have discussed so far into real world context through some practical scenarios that illustrates how policies, stakeholder oversight, and business continuity work together in AI assurance. Let's start with policy and governance framework. Imagine an organization developing an AI-powered loan approval system. The IT and data science team are working hard to fine-tune the algorithm, but without a strong policy and governance framework, it's unclear who owns what. Should the compliance team sign off on training data sources? Should the legal team approve how applicant data is stored and shared? This is where governance framework comes in. It establishes clear roles, policies, and accountability across all stakeholders, legal and AI teams. By defining data handling procedures, model approval steps, and audit requirements, the organization ensures ethical and compliant AI operation. So, in short, policies provide structure. They are the guardrails that prevent ethical or compliance breaches before they happen. Now we move to stakeholder oversight and compliance. Now let's consider a healthcare organization that is using AI to analyze patient images for early disease detection. If individual departments deploy their own AI tool without any oversight, it creates what we call as a shadow IT, unsanctioned systems operating outside of the compliance control. Now, to prevent this, organizations must implement proper approval workflows and educate teams about governance expectation. Stakeholders need to understand data privacy law like HIPAA, GDPR, or PHIPA, and ensure models are trained, tested, and validated under authorized governance channel. This proactive approach prevents compliance risk and ensures AI systems remain transparent, traceable, and trusted across the organization. Finally, let's discuss business continuity planning. AI systems like any other critical infrastructure, can fail, whether due to technical errors or adversarial attacks or even data corruption. For instance, imagine a smart city's traffic management AI suddenly malfunctions due to a data feed error. Without a continuity plan, the result could be a gridlock or even accidents. A robust continuity plan includes incident response procedures, fallback options, and manual override to maintain service continuity. It ensures that in the event of a failure, operations can quickly transition to a backup process, keeping the organization resilient and minimizing downtime. Now, these are the elements that are covered in detail in Domain 1. Let's move to Domain 2, AI Risk Management. Now we are moving into one of the most crucial areas of AAISM framework, which is AI risk management. This domain focuses on identifying, analyzing, and mitigating the unique risks that arise when organizations adopt AI systems. Now let's break down this domain into three major concepts: AI risk assessment, threat and vulnerability management, and vendor or supply chain risk. Let's start with AI risk assessment. Traditional risk assessments often focuses on IT infrastructure, but AI introduces new dimensions: fairness, explainability, and ethics. For example, consider a hiring algorithm used by a global company. If the model is trained on biased historical data, it could unintentionally favor or exclude certain groups, leading to ethical, reputational, and even legal consequences. A well structured AI risk assessment helps identify these issues early by evaluating how data is collected, how models are trained, and whether the outputs are explainable and fair. In practice, this means adding AI specific risk controls like bias detection tools, human oversight checkpoints, and documentations of decision logic. The goal isn't just accuracy, but accountability and trustworthiness. Let's take a look at threat and vulnerability management. AI systems, especially those integrated with external data feeds or APIs, face risks that traditional systems don't. For instance, attackers can perform data poisoning, where malicious input are introduced to corrupt a model's behavior, or there might carry out adversarial attack, subtly altering input data, like changing a few pixels in an image to make an AI model misclassify it. In one real world example, an autonomous vehicle's vision system was tricked into reading a stop sign as a speed limit due to manipulated data patterns. Now, I'm not going to tell you which autonomous vehicle I'm referring to here. This shows how critical ongoing monitoring, input validation, and model hardening are required to maintain AI security. Now, threat management in AI isn't a one-time task, it's a continuous vigilance against evolving attack methods. Finally, we're going to talk about vendor and supply chain risks. As organizations increasingly rely on third-party AI models, APIs, and cloud-based machine learning services, they also inherit the risks of those vendors. For an example, if a company integrates a third-party facial recognition API without proper due diligence, they might expose sensitive user data or violate privacy regulations. Therefore, vendor management becomes a key part of AI assurance. Organizations must assess vendor security practices, review model documentation, evaluate compliance certification, and define shared accountability for incident response. So essentially, every link in the supply chain must be secure because your AI system is only as strong as its weakest vendor. So these components form the backbone of AI risk resilience, a key skill set for every AAISM certified professional. Now, let's explore how AI risk management plays out in real-world scenarios, specifically focusing on bias and fairness, adversarial threat, and vendor risk management. Now, these examples will help connect the theory we just discussed to the types of challenges you might actually face in your organization. Let's start with bias and fairness assessment. Imagine an HR department using an AI-powered hiring tool designed to screen resumes. Over time, the algorithms begin favoring certain groups based on hidden patterns in the data. Perhaps it was trained primarily on resumes from one demographic. This introduces unintentional bias, leading to unfair hiring decisions and reputational harm. Now, to mitigate this, organizations must conduct AI bias assessment, test the model across gender, ethnicity, and age dimensions. Now, by introducing fairness metrics and explainability tools, the team can detect where the bias is creeping in and retrain or adjust the model accordingly. Now, this scenario exactly highlights the core AAISM principle. AI should not only be intelligent but also ethical, explainable, and equitable. Let's move to the adversarial threat defense. Think of an autonomous vehicle manufacturer whose AI system reads the road sign. A malicious attacker alters a few pixels on a stop sign sticker, invisible to human eye, but enough to trick into reading it as a speed limit 80. This is known as adversarial attack, where attacker manipulates AI inputs to cause incorrect outputs. Now, to defend against this, security teams employ threat modeling, identifying potential attack vectors in the model's lifecycle. They also use adversarial training, feeding the AI modified examples during development. So it learns to recognize and resist malicious inputs. This example reminds us that AI security is not just about protecting data, it is about protecting the model's integrity itself. Finally, let's move to vendor risk management. Many organizations today, they don't build AI models from scratch. They integrate third-party APIs or pre-trained AI services. For an instance, a financial firm might use a third-party credit scoring API to evaluate loan application. If that vendor suffers a data breach or their model introduces bias, your organization still bears the consequences. That's why vendor oversight is very critical. You must evaluate vendor security practices, verify compliance certifications, and introduce service level agreement and mitigation clauses into the contract. This ensures both accountability and continuity even if your vendor faces a disruption. In essence, managing third-party AI providers are just as important as managing your own internal systems. We looked at three different scenarios, and together they demonstrate the practical skills AAISM professionals need to handle the complex risk environment surrounding AI technologies. Now let's move on to domain 3, AI technologies and controls. As we move into domain 3 of the AAISM framework, AI technologies and controls, we shift our focus from governance and risk management into technical foundations that actually keep the AI system secure, ethical, and trustworthy. This domain emphasizes the implementations of defensive, data-centric, and monitoring-based controls that ensures AI systems remain resilient and compliant throughout their lifecycle. Let's explore the four key pillars in this domain, starting with security architecture, data controls, privacy and ethics, and monitoring and auditability. Let's start with security architecture. In AI environments, traditional security isn't enough. We need defense in depth strategies that safeguard AI models from a range of attack vectors. Now, that includes model inversion, data poisoning, adversarial manipulation, and even model theft. For instance, an attacker might try to extract training data by repeatedly querying a public AI model. Now, to counter this, the organizations apply layered security, combining network segmentation, identity management, encryption, and zero trust design. Architectural resilience ensures that even if one defense layer is breached, the system remains protected through other compensating control. Now, this is where architecture meets assurance, protecting both data pipelines and the AI algorithms from exploitation. Next, we have data controls. AI systems are only as secure as the data they process. Effective data controls include encryption, anonymization, and robust data retention policies. For example, anonymizing personal identifiers before training a model helps ensure compliance with privacy regulations like GDPR, PHIPA, or HIPAA. Additionally, enforcing data lineage and labeling allows teams to trace where each data set came from and how it was used, a critical element for audit readiness and ethical transparency. The main goal here is to secure sensitive data throughout the AI lifecycle from collection to storage to deletion. Then we have the third pillar, privacy, ethics, and trust. This component connects technology with responsibility. It is not enough for AI systems to perform well, they must also be explainable, transparent, and aligned with ethical principles. That means designing systems where users and auditors can understand why an AI made a certain decision. For example, in healthcare, an AI diagnosis tool should provide traceable reasoning for its outcomes, not just the final decision. Trust is built when users believe the AI is both accurate and accountable. Finally, we have monitoring and auditability. Even a perfectly trained AI model can degrade over time, a phenomenon known as model drift. This occurs when the data the AI encounters in production differs from its training data. Continuous monitoring detects these drifts, while anomaly detection and logging provides visibility into how models behave over time. Audit trails are essential not only for compliance, but also for incident investigation and retraining decisions. So by establishing a continuous feedback loop, organizations ensures AI integrity, reliability, and transparency. So these four pillars together form the technical backbone of AI assurance, ensuring every model operates securely, fairly, and transparently. Let's now bring the technical controls we just discussed to life through real-world scenarios involving security architecture, data management, and AI monitoring. These examples will show how theoretical controls translate into practical defense and assurance strategies within real AI environment. Now let's start with the security architecture challenges. Imagine an organization that exposes its AI models API on the public internet, perhaps a predictive analytics API or a customer sentiment model used by external partner. Now, without the right security architecture, such exposure becomes a high-value target for attackers to look to exploit the model's vulnerability or extract sensitive data through API probing. Now, to address this, organizations must adopt a zero trust architecture where every request is authenticated, authorized, and encrypted, regardless of its origin. Now, in addition, network segmentation isolates AI workloads from other systems, thus reducing the blast radius in case of a compromise. This layered approach ensures that even if an attacker breaches one segment, they can't move laterally or access critical AI assets. Zero trust and network segmentations are not optional. They are the foundation of secure AI operations. Moving on to data management controls. Consider a healthcare provider training an AI model to detect disease from medical images. Now, the training data contains personally identifiable information like patient names, IDs, or diagnostics notes. If this data isn't properly secured, it could lead to a privacy breach with severe regulatory and reputational consequences. To prevent this, organizations must encrypt data both at rest and in transit, ensuring that only authorized systems can access it. Now, in addition, you can also apply data anonymization and pseudonymization techniques. This protects sensitive information even if the data is shared across teams or stored in a third-party environment. This ensures compliance with data protection regulations like HIPAA or GDPR while still enabling AI innovation. Strong data management isn't just the best practice, it is the ethical backbone of responsible AI. Finally, let's talk about AI privacy and monitoring. AI systems are dynamic. They evolve as data changes. Let's take a financial institution that uses an AI model for credit scoring. Over time, the behavior of applicants change, maybe due to economic shifts or new spending habits. This can lead to model drift, where the AI's predictions gradually becomes less accurate or even biased. Continuous monitoring detects such drifts early, allowing teams to roll back models, retrain them with fresh data, and investigate anomalies before they cause any harm. Effective monitoring also includes detailed logging and audit trails, ensuring transparency into how decisions are made, which is critical for regulatory and ethical accountability. So together with all these controls, ensure that the AI system remain secure, compliant, and trustworthy, not just at deployment, but throughout their entire operational cycle. Now let's talk some study strategies for the AAISM exam success. As we come towards the final part of this session, let's talk about how to prepare effectively for the AAISM exam. This certification requires not just memorization, but real understanding because the exam tests your ability to think critically about AI governance, risk, and assurance. And here is a structured approach that will help you build confidence and depth as you prepare. And this is the model that I followed. Start with your official manual. Now, this is your most authoritative and comprehensive resource. Okay, it is designed by ISACA to align with your exam objective. So everything inside it connects back to the three domains that I discussed earlier. As you read, start taking notes on definitions, framework, or key terminologies that are related to risk, accountability, and assurance principle. Use progressive domain study approach. That's my recommendation. Don't jump between topics. Instead, study all the domains sequentially. Start with domain 1, which is, according to me, an easier domain where you talk about AI governance and leadership. Then move on to domain 2, which focuses on risk. Now, I have personally completed the C-Risk certification, so that domain was also a little bit easier for me to relate to. And then finally, domain 3, which brings it all together through technical controls. Now, the logical flow helps you to see how governance drives risk management and how both depend on strong technical controls. Third, use practice questions as your learning tool, not just as your exam prep. Don't rush answering your practice question. Instead, after each question, take a moment to understand why this particular answer is correct. Ask yourself, what concept does this question test you on? Is it governance? Is it risk control? Is it ethical decision making? Now, this approach deepens your understanding and help you recognize the question patterns during your actual exam. I would highly recommend you looking at the ISACA's official question bank to practice effectively. And scenario based thinking is the final one. Embrace that. All right. The exam is a scenario driven, so it challenges you to apply your theory to real organization problem. So as you study, picture how these concepts would apply in real life. These are the training materials that I have used. Now, if you notice, you have your digital manual, there is a question bank, and there is also an online course. Now, I use the manual, but as many of you know, I don't like to read books. So what I did is I started looking for anywhere where they have discussed the book. Is there an audio version available? Luckily, I found this YouTube channel. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is not my YouTube channel, but this YouTube channel had some amazing resources about AAISM. They had an audio podcast discussing each and every chapter of each domain. So I was able to listen to them. And whenever I came across a new topic, I made notes. Now, of course, I made use of AI. So I was able to put those entire videos transcript into a GPT tool, and I was able to make detailed notes without writing. And then I listened to the audio. So whenever I come across a new topic, which I think if I need more information, I go ahead and make notes. Now that actually helped. My concept of visual and audio learning still remains the same from the time I did CISSP. First, I just listen to them. I don't take any notes. Before I give a second rundown, I've already prepared my notes with the help of my GPT. I go through the notes and then I listen the second time. So if there are any topics or any important keywords that are missed, I'm able to make note of it and I'm able to study. They also, that particular playlist also has a few videos that actually discusses the question and answer, the practice questions. I highly recommend you go through that if you're not purchasing the materials from ISACA. Now, I don't own any of those videos. I'm just directing you to places where you can find some useful resources that are available for free on the internet and hosted by somebody else and not me. As we come to the conclusion of this session, let's take a moment to reflect on what AAISM certification journey truly represents. Now, preparing for the ISACA AAISM exam is not just about passing a test, it's about developing a strategic mindset that combines governance, risk, and technical expertise to secure and manage AI responsibly. Now, throughout the sessions, we have explored how three AAISM domains, which is AI governance and program management, AI risk management, and AI technologies and controls, work together to form a complete framework for AI assurance. To succeed, you need a structured and a focused approach, one that connects theoretical understanding with practical application and scenario based thinking. You will want to approach your studies with intent, mastering not just the definition and frameworks, but the logic behind them. Now let's talk about the certification benefits. Earning the AAISM credential goes far beyond adding another badge to your resume. It validates that you have the knowledge to manage AI systems securely, ethically, and in alignment with global standards. It positions you as a trusted advisor in an era where AI accountability, transparency, and risk management are at the heart of every major organization's agenda. Whether you are in cybersecurity, governance, or technology leadership, this certification demonstrates your readiness to guide responsible AI adoption. So, as you begin your AAISM journey, remember this: the goal isn't just certification, it's transformation. It's about becoming part of the new generation of professionals who will shape how organizations build, secure, and govern AI in the years to come. Thank you for joining me today, and I wish you the very best on your path on becoming an AI assurance and information security manager. Thank you.